As we get ready for the onset of Final Fantasy VII Remake being released worldwide, I took some time this week to do a countdown, 4 videos I've been wanting to do for a long time. This will be the third one in the series. Tomorrow night culminates in the fourth, but tonight is a special video for me because I get to gush a little bit on my favorite game and favorite story of all time, which is Final Fantasy VII. I may come off a little bias in this, but my bias is based on factual information and stories of not only myself, but accounts of people around the world that I've gotten to know doing this, who message me, who text me, who, talk to me on streams and stuff, and how this video game has profoundly affected the lives of thousands of people around the world. I've never heard of a video game in my life that has had the impact on people's lives that this one has had. It has been there like a good friend through hard times, gives us a place to retreat to, gives us a familiar story of the hero's journey, of good versus evil, of good triumphing over evil, and also dealing with our own demons. And that's a lot of what Final Fantasy VII is about. Everyone has to deal with their demons and the things they're hiding to come to the truth of the matter of who they really are as opposed to who they want to be. And a lot of times who we want to be is not who we really are. And looking in the mirror as far as that goes and looking at that contrast is a hard thing to do. And this game deals with that. So in this video, I am going to get down to business and tell you all, not from my opinion, not from factual data, not from ratings, not from reviews, not for anything. But I'm going to tell you, based on the accounts of thousands of people around the world and the handful who have talked to me and shared their stories, why Final Fantasy VII is the greatest video game ever made. So whether you played this game when it came out in '97, or you played it in the 2000s, or you just played it for the first time a month ago, you can't deny the impact that this story has on the video game industry, people around the world, whatnot. And, there's so much to take in from every aspect of this game, like little bits of random dialogue that hint at a larger lore that they never got a chance to get to, that they tried to explore in the 2000s with the Final Fantasy VII compilation, to the more obvious details from battle and materia systems, all the way to the phenomenal music score, and it just makes a damn near perfect experience. And that's not to even mention the character and story details that are in this complex and sprawling narrative. So I talk to people all the time who message me and tell me how this game got them through hard times, and how it's just, for them, it's more than a game. It's more than just a story they enjoy. It's a place they can go for comfort. And just the music and the characters and the story and everything create this perfect storm of just this amazing experience that transcends just what you think of a video game to be, what you think of a role-playing game to be. That's what, a lot of times when I'm trying to explain this game to people, that's what I'm trying to convey. It's not, is it a button masher, is it an RPG? It's not based on its technical elements. It's not based on, well, how many hours do I get this, and, how much gameplay and how much replay value. It's not about that. There's something special about this video game that brings people back. There's something, when this game was finalized and this game went gold and went to print back in 1997, or December of 96, I guess it was, because I think it came out in January 97, the planets were in alignment when those discs got printed and sent out, because if you could put your finger on what makes this game so special, then everyone would do it. That's the thing. Even the developers and the people who wrote the game, the people who coded the game, and the people who produced the game and directed it, and all those other things, they'll tell you, people still come up to them to this day and say, hey, that game changed my life. That game was there for me in hard times. And, they're like, oh, wow. And they're even blown away by it because they have no idea. It was lightning in a bottle. They knew they were making something special at the time, but they didn't know how special, and they don't necessarily know what it was or what it is about that game to this day. That every time it's ported to a new system, that month it's ported, it is one of the top sellers on that system. It still makes money. That original still makes money. People still want it. Like, I've got every version of that game ever produced. You know what I mean? It comes out on a new console. It's downloadable, $10. Hey, you just got $10 from me. And there are thousands of people around the world that do the same thing. You know, PSP port, you got it. PS Vita, you got it. PlayStation 4, you got it. PS3, you got it. You know, every time it comes out on something, it's sold. And people want it. People want that with them. They still, to this day, they want to support it. And it's not a fanboy thing. It's really not. Because a lot of times, people will say that. They'll say, well, this is just, you're just, fanboying for this thing, or you're just, whatever word you want to use. I almost said mark, but that's a wrestling term. But yeah, I mean, you're just a super fan for something. It's not like that. There is something special about this movie. And in my last video, I used the comparison to Francis Ford Coppola's Godfather. As far as this goes, some things are just masterpieces. Some things are just masterworks, and you can't explain it. Like, forever, my favorite game, well, for a few years, my favorite game was Chrono Trigger. And then I was always a big Castlevania fan and Resident Evil and things like that. And those games are fantastic. There are all kinds of amazing games out there. Amazing games that are amazing stories. But there is something special about this game. There is something special about Final Fantasy VII. I'm actually getting a little emotional here talking about it. I don't know how I'm going to get through my video I'm doing tomorrow night, because it's going to be tough. But there's something very special about this game that you can't put your finger on, because if you could figure it out, if you could decide what it was, the last recipe in this potion that made it this transcendent experience for video gamers, then, like I said, everybody would do it. But it's one of the great mysteries of the history of video games. The story itself is wildly sprawling. There's so many different elements to this game. If you've heard me talk about this on my channel before or in streams, one of the major things for me is the horror aspect of the game. But it's not just that. It borrows from fantasy, it borrows from science fiction, it borrows from horror, it borrows from noir, it borrows from all these different great genres. And there's a little H.R. Geiger in there, there's a little Tolkien in there, there's there's even a little there's murder, suspense, and all this other kind of stuff, and there's mystery elements. I mean, it covers everything you can think of. There's even old Mary Shelley kind of influences and things like that in there. This game covers everything, and usually that's a mess. Usually that's a horrible mess. You get like a down and out older vet character like Sid. You get a guy who's lost everything and is fueled by rage, but still is a kind, good man like Barrett. He's a complex character. Sid's a complex character. Vincent is a super complex character, and he's a sci-fi horror type character. And then you've got Yuffie, who is like real bubbly, but she's also like a high action ninja. She's super strong. And you've got Red 13, who's a talking, tiger, and then you've Tiger Thing, and then you've got or Nanaki. I don't want fans to come after me. Nanaki, okay, that's his. I won't go by his experiment name. And then you've got Aerith, Tifa, Cloud, and all the other characters I'm not even mentioning, like the villain characters. And every character in this is given something. Every character in this has something to do. Of course, everybody knows about Aerith and her fate. But then you've got Tifa, who the whole game, she's hanging on to the secret that, she's like, Cloud doesn't seem like Cloud. What's wrong with him? And then when it comes to a head, when I don't want to spoil anything if you've never played it, because you need to play this game. If you're a gamer and you've never played it, you need to play it. It's the greatest game ever made, and you should have that under your belt, your experience. So, but Tifa, the whole game, she's just like, this looks like Cloud. He sounds like Cloud. He kind of acts like Cloud, but this doesn't seem like the guy I knew. And then Cloud, he starts as the uber badass, the hero's hero who can swoop in and save the day, but he's kind of a jerk, and then he gets torn apart. And his hero's journey is very different. He is the hero when he shows up. He is the guy who can save the day, and when he's around, everything's fine. But he is torn apart. He is psychologically just broken by the main villain, who is really Genova, but using the Shroud of Sephiroth, and it's complex, but he gets broken down, and then through the love of the people around him, namely Tifa, he has to put himself back together and then become the hero that he knows he can be. Like the whole time he's a hero, but he's not. He doesn't feel like he's the guy he should be. He's just acting like the guy he should feel like he is. Then he becomes the guy he wants to be. Like after he loses the facade and all this other kind of stuff, he becomes the guy he's supposed to be, and then they slay the dragon, that kind of thing. There's so many fantastic elements to this game, and then you look at, like, if you want to look at technical specs, well, okay, the materia system and the ATB system are one of the funnest systems ever put into a game for a role-playing game. It's fun. The enhancement, the feeling of, leveling your people up and doing things the right way and fixing yourself up the way you want to play out the game and completely customizing your gameplay experience is a fantastic system. It works great. People have talked to death about that. I don't want to talk a whole lot about that. You all know that. You've played it. If you haven't, there's thousands of reviewers out there who can tell you about that, and there are videos on that. I want to talk about the intangible. The score. The score of this game takes all those elements and threads them together into this beautiful tapestry. The score, every character has their own theme. Every time you hear the music, once you've played the game once or twice, you hear that music, you think about that character, you think about every story and thematic element that involves that character. Certain scenes have their own theme. Like we were streaming last night, and then when the weapons came out, they got their own theme. And every time you hear certain pieces of music, of course, some speak for themselves. Aerith's theme, One Winged Angel, Shinra Corporation's theme, and then you've got Sid Highwind's theme, which is dope. Everybody's got these themes, and when you hear them, it takes you back. It pulls you back into that game. Very few games have been able to do that for me. It's just the perfect storm. It really is. And to this day, people will come to me and they'll be like, hey, Final Fantasy. I'll have a piece of art hanging in a show, a Final Fantasy VII piece of art or something like that. And they'll be like, hey man, that game, it's not just the best game ever made. That game's important. Everybody says that, and they'll be like, that. They're like, that's important. That's not a video game. That's an important piece of people's life. I'm like, it is. It really is, man. And I'm kind of getting emotional here sitting here talking about that because these are real experiences I've had with total strangers that come to me at like art shows and book signings and stuff like that where I'll have art on display. And they'll look at the pieces and they'll be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, yeah, I like that show. And then they'll stop at the Final Fantasy VII pieces and they'll be like, yeah, that's important. That says it right there. People that just randomly walk up to you see that. And they go, that's important. That's an important part of my life. And you can't explain it. People who don't game or who are not into that, it's impossible to explain it to them, but you have to just relate it to them. People will ask me from time to time, they're not a gamer, that have known me all my life or whatever, and they'll be like, so what is it, man? It's like, it's a video game, right? And I'm like, well, look at it like this. If this important thing that happened to you in your life, it's not just like if you played a sport, a certain game that you played, like where you did something or where you won a championship or something like that. To most people, it's just a game, but it's not to you. And then I'll relate it to them in that way, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I get that. There you go. I mean, that's the best way I explain it. Take the most important thing in your life. Well, not the most important thing in your life, not the most important thing, but something that was profound when you experienced it. That's a better way to put it. Something that was profound to you when you experienced it, that changed the sensibility that you had, that put you on a slightly, diverged your path a little bit. It's like, hey, maybe I am more like this, like a coming to the truth moment or whatever. And whatever that was for you, this is what that game was for thousands and thousands of people. It's not just a bunch of people playing a video game. It's not just a bunch of people looking forward to a remake of a video game they enjoyed. it was an experience. It was an experience, a profound experience, and it transcends just video games. Like I've said, there have been thousands, or well, not thousands, but there have been hundreds of great video games over the years that are great. There have been thousands of video games, but they weren't all great. They weren't all great. Even from the company that made this game, all those games weren't great. You know, some of them are bad. Some of them are just bad. But this game, it is not just the greatest game ever made. It transcends gaming. It is above game. It is above gaming. This video game is something else. It's an experience. It's a profound experience for a lot of people. It is a special time in people's lives, even if they just played it once and they love it and they remember it fondly. That's what it is. When they put together that trailer at E3 2015, and you listen to that crowd, and you can go watch reactions on YouTube. You listen to those crowds, those genuine squeals and roars from all over the world. Not just I mean, the individual reactions are great, but watch the theaters full of people just howling like their team just won like this world championship or something like that. Just howling, like just their emotions just rushing out of their bodies. They just can't believe it. That's what this is. That's 10%. That's a small decimal of what this is to people. So, like I've said, you know, if people want to put things on like ratings and stuff like that, that's not what this is about. That's not what the love for this game is about. Metacritic ratings and scores and review scores and stuff like that, that ain't what this game's about. This game, the theme, the characters, the music, the everything, the experience, the journey of this tale is something it's something profound that I found at a critical point in my life. And that's what's special to me. And there's thousands out there with that same story. You know, I'm just one of them. So as we get ready for the big night tomorrow night, and we're all going to be playing this for a long time, we're all going to have our different opinions on it. We're all going to be kind of judging the remake or whatever, but let's not forget that the remake is its own thing. This will always be that special thing. You know what I mean? The remake is a new video game. It's a retelling of this thing that was special to us. The remake is something to enjoy and reminisce about and talk about with the community and stuff like that. This thing ain't about Metacritic scores. It's not about review scores. It's not about this person saying this. That. Wash all that out. Just wash all that out. This is an homage to something that was very important to a lot of us at some point in our lives. That's the way I'm looking at this game. So, I hope you all enjoyed that. If you all enjoyed that, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, share it around, let people know. We're 1 day away. We're pretty much just 1 day away. You know, 1 day and a few hours at this point from it unlocking at midnight for everybody. I got the digital. I hope everybody gets a chance to play it at midnight. But thank you all for sharing this time with me. This has been great, getting to know a lot of you. I have found, you know, my YouTube channel is blown up because of you all. And it's only thanks to you all and thanks to this game. I am I've always been enamored with this game. I think it's just fantastic. It is the reason that I wanted to be a storyteller. I'll get more into that in the video tomorrow night. The video tomorrow night's super personal. And I almost got choked up a couple of times during this video, so I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night. But it's just live and raw. I'm not cutting this video. I'm not editing this video. It's live and raw. Tomorrow night's video, I'm not cutting. I'm not editing. It's going to be live and raw. If it goes 10 minutes, great. If it goes 30 minutes, there it is. You can listen to it in sections. But I'm not cutting or editing these videos. I want this to be special for you all. And I hope you all have a great night. I am getting ready for the Twitch stream. I wanted to do some other things. I wanted to make this video. I wanted to get everything out there about this video. I had some notes. I skipped some of my notes. I just wanted to speak from the heart. I want to speak raw. That's why you all like my channel. I speak raw. I speak from the heart. I come off the cuff with a lot of stuff. But genuine emotions, genuine feelings, man. I mean, people People that don't know, they just don't know. And you just have to, if you want them to know, you have to explain the best way that they can relate. And this game was profound for a lot of people. It's not just a video game. It's not something you can measure with rankings and scores and reviews. It transcends all of that. Whether you agree with me or not, it don't matter. It don't matter. Whether you agree with me or not. If you don't agree with me, it don't matter. If you agree with me, awesome. I'm going to leave you with this. Final words of the video. This big reason, and others like it, are why Final Fantasy VII is the greatest video game ever made.